Hello, everyone, and
Get started.
welcome to a chat with Severlin, our executive producer for Dungeons & Dragons Online, right here on twitch.tv/DDO stream. Happy 15th anniversary, everyone. We're kicking off our 15th anniversary celebrations today.
Happy 15th.
With the release of our anniversary event. We've got some free gifts that we're giving out. You can find all of that stuff on DDO.com. Additionally, this morning we published our latest producer's letter. Producer being that guy. No, that guy.
This guy.
Whichever
right here.
that direction.
Don't point at me.
Over there on the other side of the boulder. That being Severlin. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I thought you were pointing to the beholder.
So it all flips around on webcam, and apparently it's extremely difficult.
What vegetables are in season right now? That's a great question.
Direction is what I need to do. That's how I have to do this. So.
Strimtom.
How's it going, everybody? Welcome.
He is eternal.
This is going to be a hangout, a chat for the next hour. We're going to do some Q&A, basically opening it all up to your questions, whatever you'd like to talk about. In the meantime, we certainly have some things to talk about as well, like the producer's letter. And
we're going to ask some questions. We're going to wait a bit, though. We're going to sneak them in a little later. You know what I mean?
So let's get to it. Actually, I should probably take care of these first two questions. That is, servers live when ? It should be within the next hour here. I'm actually keeping an eye on email, but we should be live with update 48.
Live in the next hour. That's exciting.
That being the anniversary patch and the new raid patch in about the next hour. So stay tuned for that, and I can answer that. And then also the question about will there be any anniversary-related bonuses and sales? Yep, there will. Those are also kicking off this afternoon, and we're going to have more information about
sales.
That's
exciting. I can't wait to see what the sales are.
All right, so Sev, Salt Marsh mini expansion comma low-level raid ?
Low-level raid?
Let's talk about that in 2 points. First off, hey, we announced Salt Marsh.
Yes, we did. I'm so excited.
I don't know what that is.
So we're going to be doing that. Salt Marsh was big enough and had enough stuff in it that we didn't want to limit it to a normal adventure pack. So we tried to make it bigger, but we just couldn't. We just can't turn around an expansion that big, but we wanted to give it justice because, like, not only is the classic module iconic, but it's been recently touched upon as well. So we wanted it to be bigger, and it is. Our plans are big, so we're excited about that.
I don't know that we want to give numbers on dungeons at this point, as it's still somewhat in its planning stages.
Give us a ballpark.
I mean,
ballpark.
It's
Do it.
Certainly big. Like what? 8 dungeons, maybe 9, if we can get them in.
Told you, 8 or 9 dungeons.
That's
what I was saying. 8 or 9.
Looking at,
Hell
landscape would be cool.
Landscape.
And I realized the irony of just throwing out some numbers after you just were like, I don't know if we want to throw out some numbers.
Yeah, I don't know, because I don't, as clearly as you are hearing now on this chat, they're not 100%.
They're not 100%.
At this point.
But 8 or 9? Isn't that more than Feywild?
Than a regular
no, Feywild has a lot more than that.
Substantially. So
I think Feywild has like 13 or 14
there. So Red Piety was saying, "Say my name, Seb." So there you go. You're immortalized in this small community.
That's sick.
So what about Hipporan as the next question? Is Isle of Dread not being thought about anymore?
No, Isle of Dread is coming after.
Isle of Dread.
Isle of Dread is next.
Salt Marsh.
Isle of Dread, the artists all want to do dinosaurs, so you're
gonna get Isle of Dread. You're gonna get dinosaur expansion.
Do not allow me to
that's not my
the
team.
Excitement the studio has for doing that. It's just too big for this year.
Yeah,
it's just too big.
It's not my teams, by the way.
Yep.
Okay, just put it. But yeah, no, that's their teams.
We're constantly looking at VIP value, and we want to look at that. In fact, one of the lessons that we've learned as we
please be more specific.
For,
yeah, we're gonna. I know. I'm waiting a sec to let the question slip in.
Doing bigger updates and mini expansion is that we want the VIPs to feel they're getting good value during that time. So we definitely are looking at that. We're looking at tech to allow that. So hopefully the VIP people will be pretty happy that
there was an expansion specific VIP bonus,
and that it builds into the VIP.
So if you're VIP and you own an expansion, you get a special bonus.
That's one of the lessons that we've learned. But unfortunately, early on when we were doing this kind of update, we didn't really have the tech to do stuff like that. So now that we're looking at that those are the as we're looking at the tech and what we can get accomplished, those are the questions that we definitely want to answer.
What about a level cap increase? So we had referenced the possibility of one in, I believe, last year's producer's letter. That hasn't happened yet. What's our plans for the level cap?
The level cap was basically, our plan will be our next big expansion will include a level cap is our current plan.
Next big expansion.
We went through
so next real expansion, which is April 2022.
How people were responding to our plans for the last one and realized that it wasn't the right time. We needed to
it's going to be April 2022.
Some other infrastructure stuff. When I say infrastructure, what I mean is Epic Destinies. Like what we want to do is the level cap will come after the Epic Destiny revamp, and that's what we're working on now, is doing some cool stuff with Epic Destinies. We didn't want to do a level cap before doing that because we felt that it would be important for the players to be able to have cool things to do with it. One of the things about Epic Destinies is they're currently so different that people getting to level 20 kind of put their toes in the water, but don't really get it. So we want to open up Epic Destinies, give players more options to sort of level up in extra Epic Destinies. Once we finish that, then
Epic Destinies?
The players will have cool stuff to get for the level cap, and then we'll be working on that.
All right, I was going back through Twitch chat, and by the way, also welcome everyone on YouTube and Facebook. We're primarily focusing our questions on Twitch chat.
What did you just say?
But I am
did I just mishear that?
Your questions as well. We'll make sure.
I don't think I misheard that. I think I heard that correctly.
If we can by the end of the show here. I wanted to bring up a question, kind of a tough one, because that's part of what we're here for today, is to handle a couple of these tough questions that we expect you to sling at us. So we mentioned in the producer's letter about some lessons learned related to our previous attempt at a mini expansion.
Yeah. Epic cast lives we're starting? Yes.
Our other game.
No, do them now.
And we mentioned
it doesn't matter if you. I don't think it matters if you do them now or later.
So the question is, what lessons did we learn, and how will they apply to the mini X-Pact mentioned in the letter?
Sure. There's a lot of smaller things that we could improve on the mini X-Pact, but two big pieces of feedback is the VIPs felt that the mini X-Pact did not reduce the value of VIP. So we realized that once we have the tech in place, we really need to make we really need to give them more value. So for a mini X-Pact, meaning that either they get more stuff or they pay less for the base edition. I don't know which way we're going because it all depends
VIP, you pay less for the expansion.
But we definitely want the VIPs to when they approach a mini X-Pact.
They've said that a level cap increase won't change DRing.
Second is our last mini X-Pact we really value, but not at the excellent value that our players have come to expect in terms of from Lotro. I think that the discounts when you add up everything were good, but I agree with them that we usually do a much better job in terms of excellent value, and that's one of the things that we want to address. We want the players to be super psyched. Now the players have been very good about supporting us in both games over the years, and I thank them for it. And
good job, us.
I'm glad that they continue
that's on the front
to
for
do
the support.
So, but I want to reward them by really having the value of any extra stuff that they buy feel really good. And I think that that's something that we could have done, and we will do better in the future when we're talking about this kind of content.
All right, sounds great. Thank you. We've already asked or answered that question.
Yeah, so that's
chat.
Basically, I think that the idea...
We have a lot of suggestions, and those are always the toughest to answer because they usually are along the lines of, that would be sweet, dunno.
Yeah, suggestions are tough. They don't
along
usually do
those
that.
lines, have we ever considered something like Night Below or Under Mountain?
I mean, sure, we constantly do that.
I don't care too much about this. Basically, one of the things they're talking about with regards to the extra VIP value that he was talking about was essentially that the VIP value, a lot of people felt that with the mini expansion, why am I paying for a sub when the sub is supposed to give me access to content, and the content comes out, and because the idea is it's a mini expansion, I can't get access to it. So the general consensus is maybe they make the mini expansion content cheaper for a VIP, so if you are VIP, when you go to purchase the content, you pay less for it. Or alternative, maybe there's a different bonus that you can acquire by being VIP and owning the content or something else like that. I think those could be very, very interesting. I'm not sure. So that would be So that would be interesting. I would love to see something, maybe something like that. They should do more things like that. But yeah, and also speaking with the level cap increase, they said specifically that if they're going to change a level cap, they're not changing the TR system. We have the TR system set up. So if you want to reincarnate, you can. You don't have to.
So we've moved on, so we're experimenting with new infrastructure changes on Argonescent. We've had mixed reviews. Some of the people say that it was a little better. Some of the Argo people say that it wasn't. So we're examining that. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at the effect system and changes in order to do that.
Yeah, this is lag stuff.
I went blank. No problem. So basically on lag, our main goals right now are continue to look at the infrastructure, but really the effect system is lagging.
Would it work? Yes, because if you buy VIP in the expansion, you pay the same amount of money, Subject.
Some hardcore.
As if you didn't buy VIP and bought the expansion.
Part of it is that we need to revamp our proc system so that it makes more sense and that it's more unified. Because right now there's just procs all over the place, and that leads to it. Part of it is at the high end, players attack so fast. One of the things we might want to do is look into ways to make action boost feel good without doing necessarily haste, like crit instead, but it would have to feel really good in order to move that.
Wait, what?
And the other thing is we just need to make the effect system more streamlined and
action boost crit
better,
instead of
because
action boost haste.
There are ways it's being used currently that I think aren't ideal. All of those changes will lead to the game performing better.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that makes sense.
The infrastructure stuff should help shore up some of the back end things that might
literally
be leading to it.
By the way, if you play
It's been a weird year. The internet during COVID has been bizarre, and that has led to a lot of it. Like there are sometimes we've looked into lag and there are just weird.
I like attacking fast too, but if you've ever played as Ranger, play as a Tempest Ranger, and your game will start desyncing because of how many attacks you do.
That's
really
one
dumb.
of the things that kind of complicates it.
Related to that is chat work. We had a couple of questions about not just lag, but the chat issues that have been
chat issues.
going. One of them saying the chat
where the game starts like freezing and it goes into slideshow mode and it doesn't properly process.
Why has it been happening since July? Is the way this person described it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
but I also like attacking fast.
Behind the scenes, there are Halo.
I don't know if they're going to fix these chat issues.
Structure changes that we've made that we're still tracking down. We changed the back end of how storage is done, and there's Halo. We're looking into it and doing that, and right now we're trying to bring more engineering resources online to do that. We're currently in the process of bringing more people on, so that's good.
Oh yeah, they're hiring. I forgot. And SSG is hiring. Do you work in the United States of America and you're a really good computer engineer and you think like I could do better than these idiots all day? Go work at their company. Also, get some D. It's D time, by the way.
Like we're aware of this, and so we're hiring currently.
Yep. All right, I am looking through Facebook chat and that as well. Do you have a question that you've maybe been thinking about queuing up here?
There are plans to upgrading the player models. We would love to do a revamp like that. Right now, we do it race by race. So some of the newer player models look good. Some of the older ones look classic. We want to be careful because when you change a character that someone's been playing for 15 years, sometimes it can be jarring.
Is updating old content?
They like it.
That's a good question.
Our
stream sponsored by Vitamin D. Feel the D.
One of our strategies for doing that, like one of the things we try to do is instead of changing the race out from under people, we bring in a new race.
I am asking questions. When you guys post questions in here, I do ask questions.
You can play those. If you like the Wood Elves, you can play those. The only thing I think that universally needs to be changed, which we're working on now, is the Half Elf. There's some texture stuff and
I asked a new race question. If people ask some new race stuff,
nobody's going to argue that they want to keep looking at. So that needs to be revamped.
I need to ask a softball question because I've seen it now asked 3 different times. What is that map behind you on the video?
It's a world map, but it's an old time expansion map. So it's like the world as it was mapped out with early explorers.
Oh, cool.
So an actual map of a real
What a
place.
question. What's the map behind you? That's very funny.
The sad thing is that because where I'm sitting, you can't see all my
PDK looks like a monkey. Don't change it. Yeah, PDK is great. Look,
So you're
guys,
actually only seeing the map.
there's a difference between
I think
half
all
elf
my
and
geek loot is just out of range.
I don't care about this question. There's a difference between half elf and purple dragon knight. Okay, purple dragon knight is ugly, and they're designed to be ugly. That's why they're soldiers in the front line. You don't send the beautiful people in to fight the war. You send the guys that got hit in the face with a shovel multiple times while growing up, and you send them to fight the war. Half elves, though, I mean, they're half elf. They should look better than they do.
We definitely want to do new hairstyles and colors.
Yeah, we need new
that's
hairstyles
one of the
and
things
colors.
we're actively working on now. Hopefully, we'll have some stuff in by end of year. In terms of like more character options for players.
Gnomes look great.
Sometime
existing
mid-year,
bugs.
maybe.
Can you be more specific,
I'm not
Sojak?
sure.
I can't ask a question about existing bugs because there's infinite numbers of them. You need to be specific.
Find out what a real place Earth, any plans for graphic game engine remaster.
Question quite a bit. What about the idea of some kind of game engine upgrade or game graphics update?
Probably. In terms of like we want to add certain graphic
Half-elf is vile in the face. It is.
that are in
It's
more
horrible.
modern engines to
Cosmetic
our engines.
bank like Lotro?
There are plans
Yeah.
in the work to do that and to introduce them to the
It's
games.
a lot. It's a busy
in
chat,
the
so I'm trying to get
long
the
term,
questions
not
in.
in
Yeah.
the short term. That would be something.
Future add druidic circles or paladins? Paladinos? It's a great
2022.
question. Suggestion ideas are
But,
sometimes
yeah,
tough.
the artists definitely want
There are things
better
that currently
tools, better particle
exist.
effects.
There are things that they
For
can say like, we
instance,
want to do it, but then they
we
can't do anything about it
We'll
because it's not on the
probably be
table.
bringing in some lighting improvements, but that needs a lot of work.
The
We
lighting
could use
improvements are
some
probably going to be
shader
the same
work
things
too.
they've done with Lotro recently.
Okay. Your video might cut out real quick again here.
Also, they're still getting teams.
Take care
All
of
that team stuff is
an
still
issue.
them.
Sure.
Animation canceling by removing material components. I
Briefly,
know that's on
to-
the table. I don't know if
for
they're
some
fixing
reason,
that,
one
but I
of
know
my
it's on the
channels is
table.
not muting as it must.
Can you hear me? You just can't see me.
Reprint colors.
Yeah,
a lot
they
of people
can
are asking
hear
about
you and
reprint
everything,
colors.
I don't
Yeah.
want any of my team's
Well, while you're doing that-
notifications going through. There we go.
So
Alright.
Reaper mode, we definitely want to revisit.
Reaper mode.
How we do that is a question. One of the issues with Reaper mode is the difficulty of our because we haven't done a level increase so long, the difficulty of the content has grown. But yeah, we want to provide more Reaper options there long term. Cosmetic wardrobe, there's the way Mirrors of Glamoring works makes that very difficult. So maybe, but that's a long-term thing that isn't in our short-term radar. Our short-term radar actually will probably be the mount wardrobe. We know that the players like getting mounts, but right now it just takes up too much storage. So
Mount wardrobe.
we'll probably be doing a mount thing. So we were talking about that, and what we'd like to do is for the anniversary maybe make the mount interface just free to everyone.
What?
As sort of like, hey, anniversary, here's a cool new feature. And just have it so that mounts become tokens, and once you put them in your mount inventory, they just exist there, so you don't have to have like 472. Yeah, wow.
Oh, look at that!
That
There's
was
a mount
fast.
bag. Look, it's
Yeah,
a tab.
I-
It's a tab
well,
on
I
the
think
thing.
Did you really anticipate me
Look.
talking about it? And
I took the liberty of just kind of quick throwing it up on the screen here.
Whoa!
So,
Look at
I hope
that!
that's okay.
It's just
I
in
think
the
it probably
inventory
is.
now, and it has all your horses in
You
it.
talked about it.
Also, what are those
Yeah,
two
it
horses?
wasn't-
What's this one? Wait,
It's
what's this
funny
one?
because,
You
like,
see
I
this
was
one?
like,
What's that?
well, we probably won't.
Wait,
be able
wait.
to
What's this
show it
one?
off,
And what's
so
this one?
Maybe I'll talk about it.
I have all
but,
the horses, and I don't have these two.
Yeah, there's some kind of cool mount stuff coming, in that will make it better and easier to collect your mounts. That way you don't have to
Buy a
right
horse.
now people are like, oh, I would love to get a whole bunch of different colors, but I don't have the bag space.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool.
Now, don't pay too much attention to the particular avatars on that mount. They were just kind of all placeholders.
Oh,
Yeah,
of course,
sure.
of course.
Yeah.
In other words,
but yeah.
don't suspect that I'm spoiling things.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Horses.
Let's talk a little bit about hardcore. I see a couple of questions so far in chat about.
That's so
asking
exciting,
about
guys.
the
I'm so
hardcore
excited.
plans for
That's great.
2021.
Hardcore season will be coming up.
Yeah, new content first, then old
remember the
content.
exact calendar. Was it April?
Yes.
So we have another hardcore season coming up. We want to make sure that we, look at the balance of things for that, and give the players some options to maybe use some of the
hardcore.
a combination of new and beloved past things for hardcore season. So we can talk about that. So that would be super cool. and people do like doing that and competing for that. So yeah, hardcore season is coming with and as you would expect, probably some balance changes around that.
And we're planning 2 hardcore seasons this year.
Cool. I don't know exactly what they're going to do with hardcore, but
yes,
there'll be one coming up sooner than one later in the year.
Yeah,
rather than say last year's schedule, which tended to be about 90 days on, 30 days off.
Yeah, based on player feedback, we reduced the amount of hardcore seasons.
So you players,
one, they feel more special.
Your shitty feedback.
The players can kind of catch up between them. Players were saying there were some players that loved it.
No.
Some players that said that it was coming too fast. So we experimented with like slowing them down to see, so the players can come in and concentrate on them. But
when you mount the Nightmare on Fire Resist, that's a good idea.
All right. What about hirelings and improving their AI? What would you like to see done with them, and is that something we could realistically see in the future here?
Ooh.
Sure. I think that hirelings, and one of the issues is the hirelings in Monster AI, they exist in different systems actually. So fixing hireling AI is actually kind of a pain. We would love to do hireling stuff. In fact, I would love to do a revamp on hirelings so that the players could get better use out of them. Because I think that for a lot of the solo players, hirelings are very much part of their gameplay in a way that.
And also, they sell 2 of them with every expansion.
Crowd, and I love that too. But they don't necessarily get as much use out of them. So we definitely want to do something in terms of improving hirelings, or even giving the players like more to collect, or ability to do stuff with them.
Yeah, it's basically they want to do it, but it's not on the chart. They're not planning on doing anything, but they want to do it.
There we go. Okay, now my mic is unmuted on XSplit. 2 questions from YouTube, please. 4K scaling, question mark.
Yes, 4K scaling, please.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Long term, we want 4K scaling.
But it's long term.
All of
hireling
us are sick
stables?
of not having
You can buy the folders
games.
right now, but that would be a good idea.
The issue, it's a weird issue because the UI scaling is a hard problem to solve, and even if we solved it mathematically, we would need to redo all of the kind of graphics and icons in the game to be able to scale up without pixelizing. And it turns out that is a massive amount of artwork that when we scoped it out was much bigger than we had.
Basically, the game is really old, so they didn't draw everything with like vector graphics, so they can't just upscale everything.
I suspect a similar answer may
they have
also
to redraw
come to
everything.
Our second YouTube question, which comes from Cosmic. What about any movement on cosmetic storage for DDO?
Like I said, the cosmetics are the way the Mirror of Glamoring works is it doesn't make a cosmetic token in the same way as a mount could be made. It actually has a changed version of the item, which means that you can't easily store it in the same way as you could, say, crafting items or even the mount interface. That makes creating a cosmetic storage actually really, really hard. Like the mount stuff was hard and took us a while, but the cosmetic stuff would require us to be able to do a lot of data infrastructure work.
If you're in dungeon, they decay in the folder. Yeah.
Okay. Let me head over real quick to Facebook here.
Yeah.
What about scaling, like stat squishing, like Guild Wars 2? Actually, he's saying, like Guild Wars 2, any plans for level down scaling like Guild Wars 2 and other games? So sort of this kind of stat squishes that seem to be a thing in a couple of other MMOs in the industry.
No, that's the wrong question. That's the wrong question. That's the wrong question.
I'm not saying that it won't happen. I don't have anything to talk about on there because it's so.
That's not what he's asking about.
Is it something that we've talked about?
And those servers are closed.
But I mean, the games that are doing stat squishes are doing 20 million DPS, and we're doing 10,000 DPS at the top end, maybe a little more if you're really into it.
People are doing a little higher than 10K
of room there, but eventually when we do sort of system revamps, we want to look into a way of kind of scaling everything down. You just want to be careful because it has so much halo. Like one of the things that those games, Guild Wars 2 is good because you can basically play all the content. But one of the things, some other games have done that where they basically concentrate on an end game, and it's okay if their leveling dungeons are a little off for a couple months while they catch up. That's not the case. We couldn't do that for DDO. If it messes up, say, heroic dungeons,
this is the important thing, by the way.
That affects.
That's the way the game is scaled.
Be really careful. So the halo for that is much bigger. Also, the back end system.
The game is scaled for 10K DPS, by the way. If that's what he's saying, that means that's what they're expecting people to do for like elite difficulty. It doesn't matter that if you can do 50k on R10. In R10, you do like less than you do like 10% of your damage. That's fine. It's that the game is probably scaled around 10k. So if you're doing 10k, that means you can be successful in pretty much all forms of content, which is accurate.
It's something that we should look into. I'll ask about it. I think that one of the things is in our sort of cadence of stuff, a lot of times it's not a direct decision to leave them on. It's more of an oversight. So it's something that we should look into.
2020 in particular, when we first transitioned to working from home, tended to fall around the time that we normally had done that work. And so in 2020 in particular, we were maybe a little bit off in our cadence there. So
yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what he means when he says Halo. I'm assuming he means like there's a lot of work.
Question from Twitch chat from Tensenmo. The Players Council applications are closed. The people who are running the Players Council are going through those applications in the coming weeks. And we expect to probably
it's not an acronym
on sort of the next session of the Players Council sometime in March. I can't tell you whether it's going to be early, mid, or maybe even a little later than that at this point.
Yeah,
but
exactly, it's
like
encompassing.
So expect
it's
to
like
hear some more
an
news
all-encompassing
in the next couple of weeks.
Or like there's like lots of ideas there.
So one of the hard questions that came through is mega servers. We had talked about that. Until we get lag under control, until we go through and do the fixes we need to the effects system into the master servers, we're not going mega server because the master server.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, good job, programmers. Get in there.
We need to fix some things, low-level stuff about that before we go on that.
I was just listening so I can describe it that well.
Like when we actually tested it, we hit some even performance issues on the master server, which we weren't expecting. We know about the instant server lag that we're working on now. So once we get that in place and then we can talk about mega server.
The more lags they fix, the more closer we get to a mega server.
Question from YouTube that I see a couple people lobbying for. What about our TR caches? Can we ever get sorting with them? Can we? What are you going to do about TR caches?
Yeah, what are you going to do?
So let me say something unpopular. The TR cache is not meant to be a storage area. It is meant to kind of hold stuff over and then you pull it out after reincarnate. And players have used it for a long-term storage area. The way it's implemented is not ideal for doing any kind of organization and stuff. What we'd rather do is give you better storage options so that you feel comfortable pulling the stuff out.
So the crazy concept here is that this actually be fixed if you didn't lose your storage when you reincarnated. The main issue is because you lose 2 bag spaces and 2 bank spaces when you reincarnate, you have to have a reincarnation cache to actually put all your items in when you reincarnate, and that's a major problem. So yeah, and the reincarnation cache is a huge source of lag. You lag less if you empty it,
and we don't want to encourage players to use it.
Yeah. So what about more storage, better storage? More storage, more MOAR exclamation points.
We definitely need a character bank that you can put your character items in that's more robust. Like we have a new technology for it. We can't add current character slots right now because they're implemented in the same way as bank slots that behind the scene your character carries them from server to server. So if we add more, the weight of transferring servers increase. We have the technology for doing it, but and that's one of the things we'd like to get out this year is a bank for putting character bound items in. That will not cause you even more lag as you move from dungeon to dungeon.
Oh, wait, they're gonna do a bank this year?
What about character housing?
Oh.
Right now we have guild housing. I'd love to do character housing. I
That's
would
cool.
love to have you be able to create kind of a secret base and have your hirelings there and stuff, but not here. We won't do it. That's something that as we increase the resources for the game and the engineering resources and the system resources, we can look into things like that.
Okay.
For some of this stuff?
Please, Reaper Wings. I've seen a lot of comments, especially in Twitch chat, about doing more kind of Reaper Wings.
More
what
colors.
do you want to do with Reaper Wings? Any thoughts about that?
I don't know how expensive it is to make more colors, but they more colors.
Right now, one of the weaknesses of Reaper is the trees offer enough power that new players coming in can't participate. So, as I said before, what we want to do, not this year, but at some point, is change the Reaper trees into more of a progression system. so that, and then have a leadership system where people who are leading groups can give some of their Reaper power to the people in the groups. That way, if you take someone along, they're not just instantly killed.
Character housing
Once
is more
we
storage.
revamp the system, we can talk about pushing the Reaper points up.
Roundabout way
having
more
them
storage.
in trees, and the organization of trees and the weight of trees isn't ideal, and we don't want to add to that right now until we have a chance to revamp that system. Hopefully, we'll be able to put that
colors
closer rather than later once we get more engineering resources, which we're, as I said, currently looking for and trying to bring on.
On the wish list side of things, we have someone from Facebook asking, what about ever getting Greyhawk to DDO?
Greyhawk? Oh, snap. Kind of
I don't think that will happen. There are... I don't want to go into... I never want to talk about licensing issues here, but...
Literally everybody is like, no, we don't care about new features for Reaper. We just want more colors.
Do a whole nother world justice.
Yeah, literally everybody in chat is just like, we don't care about the about the new stats,
let's just
scaling.
Say this. Many of the
colors.
classic packs are vague in terms of where they take care of, and we intentionally leave them vague so that you can imagine whatever world you're in. But I would not create a whole nother sort of world for Greyhawk at the time. Right now, because we're already supporting both Eberron and Forgotten Realms, and there are players already who wanting more for both of those, if that makes sense.
So what about more Forgotten Realms stuff in the future?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely would love to do more Forgotten Realms stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of places.
Wish list, Planescape ?
It's a whole nother world to do, so we're not
color picker.
We're not moving.
Yeah, they should just have a color picker. Absolutely.
Short term,
where you can like have select your colors.
It'd
be nice if when you bought the wings, it would bring up a little UI element, and you could change the color whenever you wanted.
Doing Planescape would be much bigger than an expansion.
I can't find where the job listings are. Oh, I can for you.
And so it would take so much time of the team that I think we would not be well served to not have content come out for a year while we're working on Planescape.
All right, one more wish list question then before I get to maybe some that we can answer a little more thoroughly. What about
at least one
doing
place.
psionics? I know that is a passion of yours to some extent that you've just talked a little bit about in the past.
And it's re-enabled.
I would love to do psionics.
That's a good question.
Doing the Alchemist was fun and great, but doing a full spell tree, let's just say that took us a lot longer
Dragon one came from?
than we thought it would. And so when doing psionics, we would basically have to redo that work. So we have to be very careful about scoping that. Basically, the Alchemist took almost 3 times longer than other previous classes we did because we couldn't reuse any of the spells, and it was a tremendous amount of work.
Yeah, they had to make there's so many Alchemist spells, by the way.
Doing the initial work to get the spells in actually wasn't the problem. It was all of the fine-tuning, balance, and detail work was way more. So doing psionics and creating a whole nother spell system would be something that we could do, but not short-term, because now that we kind of understand the scope of doing a whole nother spell system, we would have to be very careful about going into that. I mean, I would love to do an Astral Plane Githyanki psionics expansion. Like, I love that, and we always are looking at that, but the scoping of doing that is so big. Like, you just have to be careful that we just don't get sucked into that hole, right?
Yeah. All right. What about any change? This one from Strimtom. Any changes to the scroll seal shard system coming in the future?
I mean, there's always a chance for doing that in terms of old-time content. We have touched upon it before, but we're not introducing that system we probably won't be adding that system to like Saltmarsh or anything in the short term. But as we go through and touch packs, there's a chance that we could look into that.
I see some Monk players asking us about Monk work in the future. Maybe we could both talk about that and any possibility of what you see class balance work looking like.
Dude, I tried.
21.
Class balance is ongoing. Basically, what ends up happening is we touch upon class balance when we do a new hardcore season, so the players can usually know that, like, hey, this hardcore season, like, what are we touching now? Right now, our focus on systems is fixing bows. That's why you haven't seen other things.
Stream is half the members of the game.
That has gotten pretty
good.
deep.
Thank you.
Because
I'm trying my best.
The bow problem was deeper than just doing some numbers. Once we dug into it,
the bow problem is deeper
there
than
was
that.
some serious issues with animation and
animation speed. We'll check it out in a minute.
And how that affected
Codes
how they worked with haste, like the spell haste and attack speed. And so the bow thing, not only will there be new tree coming later in the year, but the bow changes are really about redoing the bow animations. And that's something that we're deep into, and the bow animation changes are something that's looking great. I really like how they look so far. They're still being fine-tuned. So once we do the bow changes, then we'll be in a position where we can kind of
add bowstrings?
Move on to other classes. Bows have been behind crossbows for a long time. Part of it is because the animations were so slow, and the way they were implemented, we just couldn't speed them up anymore. So that has been a tremendous thing that the team has kind of taken on in the short term, and you should be seeing some stuff with bow changes soon, even if the Horizon Walker tree isn't going to happen like immediately, but rather later in the year. So that's where our class balance is right now in terms of that.
At this point, I can't remember if we brought up this topic yet or not, but we have some folks, including Matthew over on Facebook, asking about our Epic Destiny work. What are our plans for Epic Destinies to the extent we can talk about them?
You got to put the code in. Happy DDO 15
Sure.
DDO.
One of the things that we want to do is we want to make the Epic Destinies work more like the heroic trees, because when the players come from the heroic trees, which they love, and they go into Epic Destinies, it's so different, and it requires so much to kind of like open them that they feel like it's not accessible. So I would imagine that players who, with that opinion, will be pleased that the Epic Destinies will open up more like heroic trees, and you'll be able to spend points in multiple Epic Destiny trees in a manner that you can kind of cross-spend with the heroic trees as well. That means that it also opens up a lot of build possibilities, because instead of being, I'm Shadow Dancer and I probably put these points into these things, it will be, I'm going to go Shadow Dancer for some of the points and Dreadnought for some of the points, and see how that works. So that creates a whole bunch of new build opportunities for the players. In addition, obviously, with the Epic Destiny revamp, there are a handful of Epic Destinies that everyone uses, and then a whole bunch that people just kind of don't. So we want to make those more exciting and rebalanced as well. So hopefully the end goal will be that. Right now, what Epic Destiny you use is kind of predetermined a little bit by like what you're trying to do.
Yes, that is currently how it works.
Open that up so that you have a lot of different options and flavors for that.
I would like to announce to everyone watching this live that as of about 3 minutes ago, we are now live on the Game Worlds. Everything's green.
Token is a raid item redemption. I don't know what they are going to be. The sales and information is coming this afternoon. So
I assume I shouldn't fail on this and just run over to the live servers.
Well, I want to do the raid. I need to do the new raid tonight. But but also the coupon code Happy 15 DDO. Happy 15 DDO.
We're gonna be looking at it in game when we get there.
We've got through the end of December, plenty of time to redeem it. But redeem it now. Why not? And you're gonna get a raid item from a select list, similar to what we did in the 10th anniversary, but a different list. And then also a 15th anniversary cloak. And you can find out more at DDO.com/.
We'll take a look at those things when we get in game. I'm actually in game already, but once
so where were you 15 years ago?
Where was I 15 years ago?
Yeah, what were you doing when DDO got released?
What was I doing? I think I was programming interfaces to scientific instruments like electron microscopes.
Okay.
Wow, that's a very different job.
Maybe was that about where I was?
I'm good.
I'm
excited.
Have been working on other kinds of software. That might DDO might actually even predate that.
Where was I 15 years ago?
Time. So
15 years ago.
Let's see. So some hard stuff.
I was in the 7th grade.
Yeah, we know that the players kind of want to do monks. Bows were in a sadder state and affect more classes. So let us get through that. somebody's asking about twitching and
It's redeeming the
chopping in
story,
order to get extra raid stuff, in order to get extra DPS in raids rather, and that's something that's on our radar.
Turbine
And
working
we're
in a call
looking
center?
at. Turns
Damn.
out that that's a really hard problem to solve without causing halo, so we're looking at that. Let's see, what other hard questions so you don't think
I don't know.
I'm
Like I said, we'll look at it together. I can't problem solve your cloak problem right now. We're gonna look at it in 18 minutes. So either problem solve it or 18 minutes. I don't know.
Yeah, we probably have augment halo still. Thank you for bringing that up. Shifter, allowing them to use hand wraps. Let's work on shifter first. And then let's see what else. 15 years ago.
I'm not sure what else they're doing here.
Halo, by the way, for someone saying Halo means, quote, problems up the tree. Can we explain a little bit what we mean by Halo?
Yeah, there's somebody jumping around with the cloak in front of my screen right now, so it's somewhere.
Is, the code in any long-term code base, you have code built on code, and so Halo is when you change something here and you don't expect it to affect other systems.
Yeah,
but
the token goes into a bag.
For instance, if we made a change to the Epic Destinies and there was some shared code, we may not realize that we also did something to break heroic trees. Yeah. That would be an example. Or we made a change to this race and we didn't realize that another race also used the same animation script. And so we make a change to this race to fix something, but this other race now is much slower.
Yep.
So Halo is kind of that intended effect. Usually, hopefully with good engineers for new code, it's less of a problem because everything is kind of, well organized. And then as people layer on and people have different design philosophies and you have generations, like for DDO, literally generations.
Yeah, you don't need to post the list. We'll take a look at it in a sec. Don't worry.
The chance for Halo grows
Just wait a couple minutes.
With these longer projects.
I see in chat, yes, after you enter Happy 15 DDO to redeem your coupon code in the DDO
it's like
store, you need to
I want to be excited about the items, but we're watching this thing. It's cool because we get to hear new information about what's coming out about the game.
It applies a little thing to your account, and then when you log back in, it gets you all this stuff. So yes, to
and
Twitch chat, you do.
The sales are going to be this afternoon, by the way. So all the anniversary sales are coming out this afternoon. So they're not in game.
Yeah,
we don't know what they are. They're this afternoon.
As a result of today's patch, this Twitch chat is not your best place to post it.
Yeah, a year from now, it's going to be somewhat less relevant, huh?
I would go to the forums.
Yeah.
I care deeply, but I'm not going to be able to cut and paste out of the Twitch chat to start looking for things.
Oh, and you need to relog for the cloak. That's why.
Good questions. We've got a little time yet here. I'm looking at the clock. We have about 15 minutes left on the clock here, so it's a good time to, if you've been in chat and looking to ask some questions, maybe been a little afraid to ask questions, feel free to ask them. I'm going to be scrolling back through the list to see what kind of stuff we can find, but it's a great opportunity to ask your question if you'd like to.
So our goal is that Epic,
and maybe we're looking to change Epic system is not live.
Right. When you do an Epic reincarnation, it will bring you from 20
the Epic
to 30.
Destiny changes are like fall.
Be required to go
and
to
by
30
fall,
32.
they mean like
That's one
November.
Of the design goals is that Epic Destiny reincarnation stays the same. Because I know that one of the concerns people had with level increases in the past is it tended to increase the reincarnation loop, but we don't want that.
So they're not changing
that
the
reincarnation loop will stay to 30 in terms of past lives for it.
If level cap increases, past lives won't change.
Question that's come up in chat here, along with on the forums, I know in recent days. What about a new heroic raid? Do we ever have plans to do another heroic raid?
Heroic raid. Ooh, well, people ask me this all the time.
Most of our raids have a number of our raids also have a heroic version, but there are some that we keep to top end because that's where we want to balance it. We'd love to. One of the things we don't see though is we don't see a lot of heroic people in that loop kind of going and raiding during that time because they're more interested in doing small group experiences that are moving them sort of up the chain. And so raid is hard to do because you will get past the loot so quick. Also, a lot of our longer term players already have kind of their loot at each level band is. So we want to be careful. If we can do a heroic raid to give the heroic people more stuff to do, that's great. But if it takes too much time, the amount of people that jump into heroic raids are not as high as you would expect because of how the play patterns work. So we wouldn't want to spend a lot of our precious development budget doing stuff that a lot of the players will kind of skip because they're kind of moving past that so fast.
Related to the leveling process, Zakaria mentions in Twitch chat, how do we feel about levels 22, 23, and 25? This person is offering their opinion on it, which is that there are no feats and it feels like dead levels. Is that intentional or an unfortunate accident? How do we feel about the low 20 leveling experience? And my understanding is that's at least part of our thinking on this upcoming Epic Destiny work, right?
Sure. Like one of the things that will happen is, unlike Epic Destinies now, you should, as you level through those, be able to invest in your Epic Destinies. And so, maybe you won't get an extra feat right now. I don't know that we're revamping those, but like being able to spend, your 4 points in Epic Destinies as you go up, like heroic, will feel good. And that's one of the things that is happening now. So hopefully that will help.
You get like points while you level up?
If that's what they mean in terms of like, hey, I leveled and nothing happened. That should help.
Interesting. Okay. So your Epic Destiny is going to unlock based on level up?
I would love to do more loot work in terms of sets for low-level epics, and what your best thing to do is suggest packs. We occasionally revamp packs like we did Dolaris and stuff, and usually we touch the loot when we revamp the packs. That's our strategy. So if there are packs that you would love to see revamped, that's a great thing to bring up on the forums, or
there you go.
And be like,
old content,
hey,
please post the packs you want.
I would love to revamp. It has cool loot, but the loot has fallen behind, and we're always looking for packs to revamp, especially packs that the players are like, oh, the content's good, but I don't play it anymore because it isn't rewarding enough. Those are good things to look at.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good. Sorry, I've got something happening in my kitchen.
There are a lot of players who are asking about Reaper wing colors, which is something that is certainly a reasonable request that I think that we could definitely look into.
Do it. Just make them.
What else?
Just add them to the list. People will buy them.
There are a whole bunch of people now making suggestions about specific packs, but this isn't the place because there's not a good way for us to
post on the forums, because there's not like a bunch of people reading through the comments. It's just these guys reading through the comments.
The forum is probably good.
We'll get the word out, and I'll put it into the anniversary guide that yes, once you redeem the code, log out and then log back in to claim your gift.
Yes.
So, yep.
Also, the stream is freezing a lot. I don't know if it's just me, but it's freezing a ton.
Let's see.
Also, in this angle, for some reason,
the 64-bit client texturing is something that we, if you could give me, if we could find an example of specifically what you're seeing texturing and where,
it did all the work.
Produce it, that would be
like
useful.
In 2010. I mean, that's okay though. You did it 11 years ago, so it doesn't really. It's not that big of a deal.
Let's see.
Any cool stuff? Yes. There's going to be a new mount UI.
We can
that's going to be adding.
This is a fairly challenging question related to our Epic Destiny discussion.
Sure.
There was a rumor that came out last summer that we were going to level gate Epic Destiny tiers. Is that still part of the design plan?
That is, so what will happen is we kind of want to try to do our cake and eat it too.
Well,
there will be a pool of Epic Destiny points that activate when you hit, when you kind of hit the first levels, so that you do get the boost up front. But then after that, the ones that you get per level will be reduced. So you won't get everything up front. You will have to, as you go up, have a chance to spend your points. And do that. So yes, I know that there are some people that would rather have everything up front, and I know it's a hard answer to hear that no, there will be points that you will earn as you level, but also it won't be everything. We plan on having a pool at the bottom end that as soon as you hit, you'll be able to spend a pool of Epic Destiny points and then go up from there. So yes and no, like probably just enough so that it will feel good to go up, and then you'll still have things to buy as you go up.
So basically my point about the Epic Destinies is like, in theory it's kind of a bummer, but like if you had fun unlocking it, then it's not really a bummer. And if you didn't have fun unlocking it and you felt like you had to unlock it, then it's better for all of the future players, and then you can be satisfied that other people that you introduce to Epic and other people you play with in Epics have an easier system.
I think that you'll get enough stuff up front, and
so it's like a win-win.
Destinies will offer enough things that it'll be cool.
There's no losing.
What about guild airships? When are we going to be able to carve out time for guilds, huh?
Yeah, when do we get more guild airship stuff?
Guild revamp is...
You've broken level 20 with max Destinies.
Never ending.
Pretty much, yeah. That's what it sounds like.
We always want to. We always want to.
We don't touch it. We don't touch it enough, right? Right now I've been discussing with one of the things that we have specifically put in is for extra resources to do guild revamps for both games, and that's an ongoing design thing that we're discussing. So I can't really talk about it right now because I don't want to get people's hopes up and then have us not be able to go into that as full as we'd like. But yes, it is on our radar to do.
Ooh.
There is some class and tree specific stuff that's way beyond the scope of a talk like this, so I probably won't go into specific class balance questions, other than like, hey, is Monk going to be revamped? And we had some ideas on that. Like, I know a lot of people were talking about Monk, and we'd like to look into that. I think one of the things about Monk is I'd like to finish.
Yeah, servers are. We're in game right now. I'm just waiting as we're listening to the chat.
I think the team agrees, and we have kind of looked into the Monk thing. I think what happened is the last time we looked into the Monk, we had some awesome ideas.
Put the power back to the level, which makes the low epics a bit more challenging. Yeah. Why even do that? Most of the power comes from legendary feats and 29 gear, because that's. It's not true. Most of the power comes from your Epic Destinies. 29 feats are important, but if you don't have an Epic Destiny, your character's way worse.
The bow, someone had asked, and unfortunately I can't remember the exact question or where it was posted, but they were asking about whether the bow changes would be more focused on a universal tree or an enhancement tree, or whether these kind of changes are more game-wide in scope.
The first set would be game-wide. Like I said, we had to do a lot of animation work.
Will Mounted Combat be available? Yeah, I don't think
that we may even...
we talked about this earlier with the bow changes. But yeah, like one of the main issues right now that exists in like Legendary Destinies is that, or Epic Destinies, is that if you have access to Epic Destinies, then your character is like a god compared to somebody who doesn't. So yeah. Ask a question? No, just do it. Just do it. Hit him with your question. Yeah, like it's a very different thing. Like, you know, if you have access to like Magister, you get plus 12 to your DCs versus somebody who doesn't, right? That is huge. There's no item in the game that even adds plus 12 to DCs. I think there's like a couple items at level 30 that add maybe 14 to a DC, one type, but nothing adds as much power as a single Epic Destiny. They're the most powerful things in Epics. They're the most impactful things for your characters, and getting that all at 20 for people that have it versus people that don't is a big deal. Also, it means that it's harder for people, like if you make a new character, making a new character is impossible because you have to then re-level all your Epic Destinies again, which you may not want to do. And with hardcore being a thing that lots of people do, myself included, having a way that you don't have to do that anymore would be amazing.
Like you have darlings that you would love to see in, and it's like, oh god, I would love to do this, but we just can't. It hurts me.
I could do a head desk on the keyboard thing of just banging, I want the test kobold. I want the test kobold. Yeah,
yes, I want the test kobold.
Yeah, everybody does. And just like, okay, is it time for the test? And then something else comes in at the last minute and bumps it down. You're like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Give us something.
Do the Dragon Gem.
When is the next Crystal Cove? Someone asked in Twitch chat.
Do we have the same amount of points for ED level 30? Do we know? Or if it changes? I'm not sure.
Target date for Crystal Cove.
Yeah.
Good question. Well, it's going to be a new ED system, so some of the stuff might even change.
Let's see. What else?
I think we're actually...
I asked the race question. I didn't get it there.
Questions here. I'm not sure.
Someone wants to get more Dragon Gems.
Yeah.
So that's something that we should do. Like, people should not be cut out from. The only problem is that if we said that the Dragon Gem, most of the time we try not to do absolutely exclusive stuff so people can get it. What we do is like, hey, it's exclusive for a time, but
there you go.
eventually
You got your
we'll
question
bring
in.
it back. So I have to look at where the Dragon came.
That was from the anniversary. We gave that out, I believe, either last year or 2 years ago. 2 years ago, something like that. Similar to the house cloaks that are debuting in the anniversary event this year after being given away a couple years ago as the anniversary gift. So, you know, if you've got party favors, you can fill any gaps you have, or maybe you weren't playing then, or you weren't playing on Jurassico then, or whatever, right? You in Jurassico then, or whatever. Whatever. You can get that stuff now. And I that seems like a likely future place for something like the Sentient Dragon Gem as well. But we didn't do that work for this year.
I mean, I guess the question is, someone's asking about a speedrun server, but kind of isn't that what hardcore is?
Yeah, that's hardcore.
I mean, I guess.
Well,
it
depends.
Fire Cult Mask? Yeah, I don't have that either, and I've been playing forever.
Fast.
I still don't have that.
I think that's true. Yeah,
or I will never have that.
Like, most of the speedruns I've seen for other games usually are like, when you're dead, you're dead. Like, also, honestly, if you're doing a speedrun, I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's hardcore or not. If you die at level 10 on your way up, you're probably going to lose anyway. And we open up enough hardcores that the players can run speedrun runs on a new hardcore season fairly easy.
That'd be fun.
And then just track who hits 21st.
Yeah, so they might add it to the thing.
But, yeah.
It just sounds different. It's just it's got a different voice effect. That's all. It just sounds different.
I don't know that we would want to do it on live servers.
I hope they don't add a speedrun server. That would make no sense. Just do it yourself, people.
Start everyone in the same place. That's so much easier.
Also, DDO lag would destroy the ability to speedrun because it's online.
The closest thing we had for a speedrun event is there was a challenge-ified version of the fight with the Spinner of Shadows that was used for our conventions, and that was like a 3-minute challenge. That kind of thing would be probably what we would do were we to offer.
Yeah, the reward list is live. We will be. I'm standing in front of the vendor. We'll be looking at it in 2 minutes.
Way to do it, because
when this chat is over.
Every time. And then you've got 3 minutes to achieve a
That'd be kind of neat if they had like challenging boss fights. What if there was like a DDO boss rush
deep dive into specific loot
event
options, but
that they could like host?
Never be able to do them on these questions AMA. It's just out of scope. So some of the people that are talking about like, hey, let's talk about like specific loot or specific class balance trees. We just can't. This is not a good format for it. So I apologize. I'm not trying to duck your stuff. It's just I won't be able to do that for our AMAs.
Yep.
Oh, someone's got a play in the background. Where we had to fight the bosses again? Yeah. Yeah, like, imagine if that was like an event. Didn't you do a Life in 24 Hours event? I've done multiple Life in single day events.
I'm seeing a lot of like super big questions, some wish list stuff that I appreciate everyone asking in that. But I'm not seeing a lot of stuff that I think we could probably wrap things up, being as we are at 1 o'clock here today.
Oh,
so why don't we just thank everyone again and remind people that you can go to DDO.com/15th anniversary. DDO.com/15th anniversary to find out all this stuff, get your free gifts, and what have you as we celebrate 15 years. Any kind of last things you want to bring up here, Sev?
I'm sure there are. I'm sure that there's like 8 things I forgot about cool stuff that we want. We'd like to do, one of the things is we would like to try to get in a new iconic this year. I don't know if we can do it. Honestly.
Ooh, a new iconic.
Looking in with the chances of with the different ways of doing remote.
Very cool.
But I saw some other people asking about race iconic, and we're kind of looking at, hey, can we do this, and tentatively trying to shoehorn it in. I can't make a promise there, but it is something that you might see.
Cool.
Yeah. Awesome.
No,
right, well,
thank
you very much for watching, everybody. Thank you for being here. We're going to have to do this again in the relatively near future. These have gone pretty well in recent months, and I think we're going to keep doing this sort of thing here in the future.
Sure.
So
once a quarter.
So one of the things the players have said is that they're like, we would like more communication, and the AMAs and doing them like more frequently. I think the last one was what, a month-ish
ago, something like that.
Is one of our ways of addressing like it isn't. I know that it isn't the giant amount of communication that I would love to do, but hopefully it will kind of answer questions.
They should do it once a quarter. Figure Forgotten Realms Drow? I don't know.
All right. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks everyone for watching. And is it over? That's it? It just said thanks everyone for watching and it was done? I thought there would have been like a bigger goodbye.